Okay, hello everyone. Today is March 26th, 2022. And according to the calendar, I think today we have to learn about the automated offer letter generator. And this is probably going to take some time because it's extensive and I want to have an in-depth overview of how this automation works so that I don't know, it can be re-implemented in the future. The way that we can work about this is I'm going to explain some chunks. And at the end of each chunk, I'm going to tell you, hey, do you have any questions? And then you can ask your questions. So just keep them in mind because probably your answer is going to be, the answer to your question is probably going to be answered in a little bit. So we're going to have these little pauses for that. I hope you can see my screen. And I'm going to start by showing you this. This is Google Cloud Platform. And this is a service that we use that is very important for the APIs to work. And this is going to start with a little overview of, I think the overview is here. Yes. So this is a diagram on how the offer letter generator works. And I'm just going to go over here so that we have some idea of what we will be talking about. So first, this is a tracker sheet. This is the tracker sheet that we all know about, which is this one. We have all the people, all the positions, all the information that we need about these persons. And here we have finance team administrators and CTD administrators. They work on this sheet, and we have some data. And we will start by talking about this section, which is hosted in Google Apps Scripts, which is the notification service and the draft service. The draft service is just this set of functions that create an offer letter in both Google Docs and PDF formats, and they store them somewhere in Google Drive, as you can see. Now, the communication between these different technologies or services happens through APIs. An API is basically a way for one service to communicate to another, to talk and to send data, to request data. That's what, I mean, there are many other things and many definitions, but let's just understand it as that. In this case, for the tracker to trigger the draft service, it communicates some stuff using the Google Sheets API and the Google Docs API. And then the Google Drive API stores the offer letter. So that's just an overview. However, to use these APIs from Google, I mean, you have all these G Suite of multiple applications. And to use all these APIs, you have to have a Google Cloud Platform project. How do you have a Google Cloud Platform project? Well, first of all, I would, if you can do it on your end too, you just go GCP. It's like that. You will get Google Cloud Platform. You click it, and you basically are in the, this is probably like the main marketing site. You just have to click console, and I would recommend you using your Minerva ID because sometimes you get like credit. And by credit, I mean that some services require money, not in our end, like none of these services that we use require money. But you still have to have a billing in case you use something with money. So, and I think for students that DU accounts, you get like $300, like right off the bat. Now, you create a project. The project is right here. This is where you see that the project exists. Here I have many, but then you just, come here and then you do create a project or new project and everything. You create a project. Now, you have to go, you have a menu with a lot of options. These might change, but you have to look for the APIs and services tab. You go to enable APIs and services, and you will see here that the APIs that we have enabled are, probably here. you will see that you have here all the APIs, the Google Maps, directions, Cloud Speech, Cloud Vision, a lot of stuff. We go to Google Sheets, and here this one reads and writes and everything, and you have managed because it's already enabled. See, let's try Google Drive. This one, let's Drive, it's already enabled. So the good thing about this is that since these APIs are already enabled, then I can have credentials. These are the credentials. Like you see for the OAuth 2.0 client IDs, you have Google Drive, and service accounts, you have another service account for this project. Now, why is this important? Because there has to be some authentication when you use these type of services. Why do you need some authentication? Is because if there is no authentication, then everyone using the sheet ID like this one, they can access your the data in your Google Sheet. I mean, anyone in the world could do that. But since there's authentication, then if you're not the owner or you're not editor of, you don't have credentials to access this sheet, then you can't do that. So that's why you have to have, for each API, you have to have a different credentials or like different authentication, secret keys or whatever. So how do you do that? There are some instructions when you like enable the API. You also have the consent screen and other stuff. But basically, you just have to make sure that you have these different numbers. I mean, if I click this here, you'll have all this client ID, secret, and everything. So that's how you get access to this. This is the service account. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But up to this point, are there any questions so far?
Everything is clear.
So all good? Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm gonna navigate here. This is where I'm, every year I create a new directory. I will recommend you to do the same for summer, for academic year, blah, 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 blah. And these are pretty much the main things that happen. This is a Jupyter notebook, and I'm gonna use the Jupyter notebook right now so that it's a little bit clearer how things work, instead of having multiple files and all connecting to each other. And then we have the drafted offer letters, signed offer letters here, basically just in my local machine where they are stored. It creates a backup locally, and then uses these files as blobs to send everything. And here are the credentials. So you have a token pickle.pickle. You have this client secret and AGOL. So when you have all these credentials, you can download them. This one, and then library, I think is here. Oh no, sorry about that. Consent screen. There was another place. Yeah, so you download this one. What is this one? Interesting. Let me see if this one is the one that I'm talking about. Well, we're gonna verify in a minute, but you basically have to have, for this to work, probably 2 files, and then this token.pickle is created later by the automation. So just make sure that all this information, or you have all these things. We're gonna go through the Google Sheet first, and then we're going to go through the Jupyter Notebook. So where are we in this process? We're here. The draft service. We're going to talk about the Google Apps Script. We know how to enable the APIs. We know how to get all these permissions and stuff. So now we're going to talk about how these things operate in Google Apps Scripts, because you have to enable other APIs through there too. So one quick question: how do I access Google Apps Script from the Google Sheet? Do any of you know, or Emil remembers that? I think we saw that in the last session.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, we have to go to tools, and from there we will find it. Or Oh, all right, not in the tools. Oh, it's somewhere in the upper menu. I'm not entirely sure.
Cool. Yeah, you were close. It's on extensions.
Oh,
Right
yeah,
next to tools.
extensions. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be tools. So that was close. It used to be tools, but recently changed to extensions. I mean, but basically you just have to go somewhere here and then you're going, it's here. Because it might change also in the future. They like to change things all the time. Okay, so let's see. The good thing is that of a Google Sheet, when you create a copy, all the code is passed along. So you create a new sheet for the new academic year, all the code is gonna pass. That's cool. So I'm gonna start explaining these. This is a file code for that's a really bad name. But I was on a rush, so it's just code for the service here. This one, the draft service. And then we have another file, which is email notice for email notifications. Okay, so this is not too complicated. This is just two variables that store the number position of each different field in the tracker. What do I mean by this? Let's take a look. In the column 2, what do we have here in the tracker? Student email, right? B is the second column. In the column 3, we have student full name here, full name, and we have full name, right? And so on and so forth. So basically, this is just a way to say, this is a variable and it has a name that I understand. And what is a column? The position in the column that it is. Of course, every time that you add a column to this, you would have to modify this to make it happen. Why do we do this? Is to make sure that every time that we add a column, we have a way to understand the name and to know this is what is happening inside here or not or whatever. Okay, so this is very important to maintain, because as time goes and we forget, then these functions are going to be calling, hey, I want the Paycom ID, or hey, I want the role, or I want the manager. And if they can't find it, or if it's another piece of data, then something wrong is going to happen. So that's a cool thing. The thing is that all these places call for these type of variables, role and everything. And if you keep these maintained, you just have to change it here. So, I added a column, you just change it here, and all the functions downstream are going to understand that there was a change on the position, and you don't have to go function by function changing the position for the column. Does that make any sense? Yes, no? Okay, so it's just like a small config. You add a column, you remove a column, you change it here, then all the functions will understand the change. And these one is just the same, but the other way around. And these ones actually have the actual name on the columns. Why is this a thing? I don't know why actually we have both, but I don't remember why. I think this is for the edits. But we'll figure out, for example, when do we use this one? Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, sometimes we have to do the other way around. We have the number of the column. We want to know what it stands for. So that's cool. There's this other section. This one is like sheet's name, or the name of the spreadsheets. And basically this one, it stores the name of each one of the spreadsheets that we use, right? Like you see that here we have Spring dashboard updates. And if we go here, we have Spring dashboard updates, and we have all these things. This is just to keep track of the names. If you change the name of one of these, please change it here, and the entire all the functions will know that there was a change there. We have the file IDs, and we have other stuff that is important. So all these sections is probably more of a config, in which we put all the variables that we have. I mean, these can actually be in another code file, but it's basically just showing very important constants that we use. Here, for example, if the salary change, you change it here, then the official start date, normal end date, senior end date. This is for seniors that go to manifest. You have current graduation year and everything. You will change it to 2023 next year, stuff like that. And then these are the folder IDs. So you have the one for the drafts, for the PDFs, and for the signed. One question that I have is, do you folks know how to get these IDs? For example, this is the ID for a Google Doc. These are the IDs for Google Drive folders. Do you know where to find them? By any chance? Okay, that's fine. Okay, let me go here to a Google Sheet. So it's as simple as you go to the URL and you see this this little piece here. This is the ID of a Google Sheet. If you go to a Google Doc, for example, this one, this is the ID. If you go to a Google Drive folder, oh, okay, sorry. This is the ID, all of it. So, oh, actually, even the one. So just on the URL, you're gonna see folders, Drive, or Google Docs, document, whatever, and then some like gibberish. That's the ID, the gibberish. So yeah, as long as you know that it is there, you just copy and paste, and that's a unique ID for all the Google Drives and all the Google Docs and whatever in Google's database. It's better to use that because it's unique and you can identify any any piece of folder or file or whatever without having questions whether you got the right one. This is an on edit process update. We're gonna jump these ones because these are more specific on how the tracker works, and we're not going to talk about that on this session. We will do it on the next session. But these are the important files here. And these probably could have a better separation of concerns. We can have one for offer letters, one for on edit and stuff like that. We can add more files here, as I said. So this is, I'm gonna jump on this one first, which is create offer documents and generate offer letter. Here, how you run a function in Google Apps Scripts, you just go here. Every time you declare a function, it's brought here, and you can, just select one and then click run, and it's gonna run. No biggie. However, you can only run functions that don't have any input parameters. So whenever you see a function that doesn't have any input parameters, then it's probably a main function that you can run from here. If I try to run generate offer letters, it's gonna tell me, hey, you didn't submit these thingies. So usually to run in Google Apps Scripts, you will have one like higher level function without parameters that runs other little functions, right? Cool. So let's start with this. This line basically uses the spreadsheet API. This is something that you will need to do if you go to, not library, sorry, services. You click on services, it's like going to the API menu in Google Cloud Platform, but in Google Apps Scripts. So you click services here, and you have to add the Drive API, and then you click add, and then Gmail API, Google Docs API, Google Sheets API, all these little things, you have to add them up. We don't use YouTube or anything, so I think just those four, or yeah, those four: Gmail, Drive, Sheets, and Docs is enough. So once you have them enabled, you basically can access this spreadsheet app.getActiveSheet. So this is basically calls the Google Sheets API and says, give me the sheet that belongs to this code file, which is this one, right? Like we went through this sheet to access this code file. So this is the active sheet. And then you say, well, give me the sheet by name. So basically here, for example, I'm getting the checklist sheet name. And from this active sheet, which is this sheet, gets the other one. And this is probably confusing, but these 2 lines basically say, give me the checklist sheet by its name. And then I declare a start row and I declare a data range. And as you can see now, this variable basically contains, in a very weird data structure that we're not going to talk about, all the data for our spreadsheet, the checklist here, offer checklist. It has all that data. So, but we actually just want the values in the cells. Like with these one, you can access the most random things, like the color or the zoom, everything you have for this sheet, you can access it. The checklist, right? It's most of the super random, but we only just want the cells, like to be completely honest. So we just get a range, and then we say, from these data range, just give me all the values. You know, we said start row 2 because we don't want the header, and then we say the first column, and then you say get the last row, and then get the last column. So all of it, all the data that we have in the sheet, give it to me. We declare a today date, and then we start iterating through the data. This one, data here. This is a for loop in JavaScript. And all this that we're talking about is basically JavaScript. Now, how is the data structure? Because we basically got like a matrix, right? Like rows and columns. So data has the data variable basically has this structure. Is an array of multiple arrays inside of it. And each array is a row. And each element in the row is a different column. Okay, so basically you would get an array, and an array will be first element Pedro, second element Pedro email, third element graduation date, so on and so forth. That is why having the column number is very important, because the column number is also the index of each one of these data points in the array when we're extracting data. Okay. So let me just come back here. Cool. So we have this. So we are basically iterating. When we iterate through the main array, that means that we are going row by row. Okay. So, and we get some information. So we get student data. So we index the array on that row. And then we get eligibility, which is 3. Let me go here. Is this person eligible? Well, this is number 3. Okay, and actually, why does it say number 3? Is because why does it say number 3? Is because since we are accessing an array, we have a 0 index, right? So the first column is a 0, the second column is a 2, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, the second column is a 1, so on and so forth. We get the status, we get the offer type, and we get the docs unsigned offer link, which is all the way here, I think. Cool. Up to this point, any questions? I probably said a lot of stuff that was confusing, but following somehow? Cool, awesome. So then we ask the question, has this person an offer letter yet? And we refer to the doc unsigned offer letter link. If this link is empty, then guess what? This person doesn't have an offer letter. We will see why this is a great breaking point to verify this. So then basically we say, well, oh, this meeting ends in 10 minutes. Okay. I'm just gonna explain something and then come back. Cool. So basically, you ask yourself, is there a link here? Yes, no. And this returns a Boolean. If the status is official and the eligibility is yes and doesn't have an offer letter, then you check the type, whether it's contractor and standard, and you generate an offer letter. This is the generate offer letter document. And it's not that crazy as other implementations that we have shown in previous years. Basically creates a new document using the Google Drive API, then gets all the information from student data, because as you can see, what are the parameters are the sheet that we initialize here. The other one is the file ID, the offer template file ID, which is this one that's all the way up. I'm not going to go back because then it's going to be confusing. Student data, which is this one that we extracted here in this iteration. And then we add 2 plus to the index and then the today's date. Cool. So what do we do here is basically we use the student data and we get all the data that we need for the student. You know, the title role, who's the manager, the ID, all this information that we will need to fill up the offer letter. Then we have the end date, and we make some corrections here because sometimes the student is a senior, sometimes it's a junior or something. They have different end dates. So we calculate this. Just for reference, these, I don't know if you've seen these in JavaScript or you have experience in JavaScript. This is called a ternary. Basically what you do is you have one comparison statement. We say the expected graduation date equals to the current graduation year. So if this person is graduating this year, and it asks the question, is this person graduating this year? If it is, then return the senior end date. If it is not, then return the normal end date. You can Google more about ternaries in JavaScript to get a better idea like this, if this explanation was not super thorough. And then this is a very important check because in the past we were sending off letters that were the start date was before today. So we were like, hey, this is your offer letter you started last week. So that doesn't make a lot of sense, and Nico flagged it out, the CFO. So then we adjust this check that if you got an offer letter and for any particular reason, this offer letter, the start date that you put or that we have is before today, I'm sorry, we're gonna put it to the next Monday. And this is the check that does that. Cool. So then we use the Google Docs API to use the new doc ID that we generated here. And then we say, let's get all the body of this one. And we start replacing some text, right? Okay, so yes, just for context, this new document is a copy, right? It says make copy, get ID and everything from this template ID. So you said that here, for example, we have an offer letter. I'm going to show you probably, do I have an offer letter here? I can probably get one real quick. Let's see, work study, 21, 22, yeah, probably this one. And then we say email templates or offer letter templates. No, it's going to be offer letters. Oh, what? Sorry. Let's go this place again. Where do we have offer letters? Offer letters, no. We don't have an offer letters here. Oh, here they are. Yeah, I got scared for a little bit. We have templates. If here we have all the documents for offer letters that we use. For example, let's go to this one, offer letter template. So basically, from the ID that we have, we get the body of the text, which is all this text. And you see that we have these little codes like hashtag, hashtag, something, hashtag, hashtag. So these are basically placeholders that we replace when we give data to the student. So in this case, when we come here, we start replacing today's date and full name and graduation year. So basically what this replace text function does is that it goes through the body of the text that we have here. We gave the new doc ID, we got the body using the Google Docs API, and then you found an occurrence of today's date, replaced it with today. You found full name, replaced it with name. And that's how we start personalizing the offer letter. At the end of the day, we get the new doc ID, we set a name for a file name, and the file name is basically just, as you can see here, the name plus space plus title. That's the nomenclature that we've had usually, and it's just useful because we have the name in the beginning. We know who this student is, so we can search real quick in the folder, and then the title. The title is important. We can't just use the name because sometimes things change. The student switches to another position, or during the summer in the past, students have had multiple positions. So this nomenclature we have never had conflicts using this nomenclature. Could change. Probably we could add like date or whether it's summer or spring or whatever in the future if we start seeing too many conflicts. Also, because there are students that have to both have the same names, which is weird because we're such a small university, but we still have those cases. And the title helps alleviate that, but that can change in the future. So just to conclude, what happens is we set a file name to the new document that we created, and then we save it. That's it. Save and close is very important because if you don't save and close, basically all the changes that you do here will not prevail. And then we basically get a hyperlink. As you can see, the new document hyperlink is not different than Google Docs, everything, and then the ID where I told you to find it. And this is the hyperlink. And we basically use this function. We're going to know more about this in the future, but how it happens in future sessions about how the tracker works. Well, what it basically does is it makes a post, an update. So it just goes here to the updates and creates a row. Basically says this change happens, and then it moves it to the folder of the drafts offer letters, and then converts the offer letter to PDF using this function, and then it flushes. So just the flush basically means like reloading the spreadsheet. And basically what it happens is that the checklist here, for example, you see that this cell is just a VLOOKUP. So basically it's just looking and searching for the name and all these different things here in the updates. And when it finds the offer letter, just brings the link. So all these changes just are reported to the updates, all of them. And then we query for that information somewhere. And just this granular, well, okay, so up to here, do we have any questions so far? Okay, no questions, all good, cool. Just because we have one more minute and we'll have to exit and then come back. The granular convert PDF function, the only thing that it does is it goes again. You see that here we give the ID, the sheet and the row index. So the only thing that it does is use Google Drive, the app, to get the file, and then using some stuff creates it as an application PDF and gives it a name, the same name, but .pdf, and then stores it in makes the post to the update as we did, and stores it in another folder. That's the only thing that it does. Same document, everything that we did on a PDF. I'm gonna stop the recording now, and we're gonna exit this Zoom. Just join again, and we're gonna continue talking about the notebook. I'll see you in a bit. It's just that this is a free Zoom account. Sorry. Okay.